let's get started on this. This is a good point to start.
Interracial relationship that was acceptable to you?
No interracial relationship is acceptable because we have too many black women who are unmarried. Black women are the largest population on the planet Earth. If you can't find one in America, get it from Africa. If you can't get it from Africa, go to the Caribbean, go to Canada, go to Europe. Why would a black man need to copulate, build a family with anything other than a black woman when you have so many black women available? It is an exercise in self-hatred. There's no
Bro, he did not stutter. God damn. He just popped off on that.
way to get around it.
Do you think Kanye West, if he had a black woman, things would be different?
Oh, absolutely. I think Kim Kardashian used him. And the fact that they're making that man pay $200,000 a month in child support.
That's a crazy take, bro. The irony, of course, is that a black woman is using Kanye West, has played a more formative role in his demise. I know it's fun to say, oh yeah, Kim Kardashian sucks. Like, I agree. But like, Candace Owens is the real reason why Kanye West like is getting canceled. He's getting canceled because he's like right-wing as fuck and then became a Nazi. But who made him right-wing? Who took advantage of his vulnerabilities? Candace did. Candace doesn't love him or care about him. Umar is referring to the difference in white love and black love. I know what Dr. Umar is doing. He's just using this as an opportunity. Fifi. Fifito. Hello. Hello. I know what Dr. Umar is doing. He's just using, say, Dr. Umar shit. He sings a wildly different tune when he's getting caught at the Panda Express in the local New Jersey mall. Do as I say, not as I do, huh, Dr. Umar? We know.
When both he and the wife are billionaires are absolutely ridiculous. I think they want to break him. And although I don't agree with the way in which Kanye articulated some of his thoughts, I appreciate the fact that he was the first black man since Michael Jackson to speak truth to power, to specifically identify certain communities of Europeans who have exploited gangster rap, black entertainers, and other people since its inception, and nobody has called.
But like, come on, bro. I mean, of course he's like running the lineup too, but it's like, it's not certain communities of Europeans. Like, first of all, okay, it's just like, it's so silly. It's not even just all Caucasians. Like, it's just rich people, okay? Of course, the origins or the inception of that still does come from mostly white people, white rich capitalists.
Them out. He's the first.
Yeah, when he drops the certain communities in there, he's just trying to say Jewish without saying Jewish, like, which is, you know, not that surprising that Dr. Umar is saying that. Let's be real, but like,
to do it since Michael Jackson. But when Michael did it, he wasn't in his prime. Kanye did it in his prime.
I can't give Kanye no respect because I've never seen a black man seek more white validation than Kanye West.
Well, that's the issue.
That is one of the most self-hating black men on the
Kanye is
planet.
not choosing a side. One day, it's about saving our people. The next day, you on a date with another snow bunny. One day, it's about helping the oppressed. The next day, you're campaigning for Donald Trump. One day, it's about being independent. The next day, I'm hearing about you going into business with some white man. Make up your mind. I think Kanye is trying to figure out where he is. But he got to make up his mind because you're too helter-skelter. And at this point, I'm going to be honest with you. Although I appreciate Kanye's honesty, I think most of his agenda is about Kanye. And I'm going to say that because when I look at our black billionaire class, whether it's Kanye, whether it's Oprah, whether it's Jay-Z,
he's not in that class
whether
no
it's
more.
Tyler Perry, even if he's no longer in that class.
Dude, oh my God. Charlemagne is so petty. This is a unique opportunity for Charlemagne where he could just like keep shitting on Kanye relentlessly and not look bad. Like, he is going to automatically look good in the situation.
None of them, LeBron, Puffy, none of them have built an independent black institution for the black community anywhere in this country. Not one.
How many lashes would Kanye get?
Kanye would probably get, I'm still working on Kanye lash count because I want to see where he ends up. I need him to make up his mind and then stay there.
Okay.
And I need him to be a little bit more articulate with what he says because although I think Kanye is on the right track, he's not articulating himself well enough. He's not controlling his public narrative. So when I do interviews like this or any interview, I go out of my way to be careful with my wording so nobody can try to use it against me later. You have to try to control your narrative, and he will get.
Yeah, that's why he said European communities, certain European communities.
On a platform and say some things that he may not even believe just for the shock value, and you're now giving the media the opportunity to brand you something that you are not.
That's even worse to me though. If you don't even have no real intention.
Dude, Dr. Umar is so I mean, he's crazy, obviously, but he's so fucking charismatic. It's crazy. It's like Alex Jones. You literally cannot deny that. He has an insane level of charisma in tune with Alex Jones. Like as a performer, as an entertainer, even though he's not, obviously. There's a million motherfuckers that have even congregations that say Hotep shit. You know what I mean? Or say incredibly conservative things or black nationalist things or black separatist things or whatever. But there's only one fucking Dr. Umar. But again, you know, he is not singing a frequency that white people that look at him are going to understand anyway. Like most white people are gonna be like, oh man, this guy's being racist to white people or whatever. You know what I mean? So Dr. Umar or Farrakhan? Oh, Dr. Umar, 100%. Dr. Umar is definitely more charismatic than Farrakhan. That's not even a question. Dr. Umar is like up to date with the memes. Farrakhan is just Farrakhan. I don't know how else to describe it. He is way more charismatic, in my opinion, than Tariq Nasheed too.
No, you don't even know what the hell you're saying. That's so anti-intellectual.
Well, the issue is Kanye, I think he's very brilliant, but I also think he's dealing with some unaddressed mental health issues
That
as
is
well.
true. That is true. You said none of them have built institutions.
And I would not put him on the same level as a Kyrie Irving because I believe Kyrie is 100% genuine in his thinking. I think he's very thought out, and
I agree with that too. Like I said, I think Kyrie Irving is just like kind of a genuine dumbass, whereas Kanye West is more so like both a dumbass and narcissistic in a similar capacity. These guys are super famous. Obviously, they're going to have that, but is more in it for his own personal benefit, whereas like Kyrie Irving is literally like, I don't know, I was just trying to be woke. Everybody knows a guy like this. Someone who is like a nice person otherwise, but thinks that they are in on shit that other people are not in on.
think that community that tried to destroy him could be accused of being hypocritical because Jeff Bezos, the $139 billion owner of Amazon, has just issued a statement a few days ago. They're not removing the DVD.
Oh no, that wasn't Jeff Bezos. That was the other. That was the current CEO of Amazon.
Okay, but Jeff Bezos is still the owner, isn't he?
He's got a percentage in it, but it was the current. The person who made that statement was the current CEO of Amazon.
Current CEO, Jeff Bezos, whoever. Amazon is not pulling a DVD. They have not been accused of being anti-Semitic. They have not been accused of being racist. They have not been accused of being a hate monger of any other people. So
that's a good take. It shows you where people's like interests are. Look, you can say that it's because like it's not a singular individual. It's an entire platform or whatever, and it's easier to like shit on a singular individual. But you can't deny that. Like, what's infinitely worse? One guy promoting it with a large platform, or the platform hosting it? Yeah, the platform hosting it is still going to be worse. Him being right on this does not mean he's right on everything else. For the record, I don't know why I would ever need to explain this. No, the people that shoot it are responsible. The platforms that allow it to continue are responsible, especially if they don't make an effort. Yes, this is literally why Pornhub got into a lot of fucking hot water. I think he meant illegal porn. But yeah, every website has a very, very serious responsibility in stopping the dissemination and further distribution of pornographic material. 100% pornographic material that is illegal, of course. Yeah, that is their responsibility. There's laws against it. They will get into fucking serious trouble. Oh, he meant Search Corn Wars 2021. Wait, what? Stop.
Crucify Amazon the way they crucified Kyrie for sharing the video that Amazon is making millions of dollars off.
I will say
that's hypocritical.
I will say this, Dr. Umar. I feel like sometimes
we can't be selective moralists.
I'm with you, but I think sometimes we, as in black people on social media, make these stories bigger. Because if we wanted, like the Brett Favre situation, Amazon, if we talked about those situations like we talk about other things, we would create those campaigns.
But the white media made Kyrie's situation an issue. So if you're going to make it an issue for Kyrie, white media, make it an issue for Amazon, white media.
I mean,
he's not right. I mean, he's not wrong. He's literally right. He might have different reasons as to why he's like hitting this take, but he's not wrong. Like he's saying what Chatter was talking about this. Okay, bro, chill. What the fuck? I can't believe I clicked on that. Who's the white media? No, he's not saying Jews there. He's talking about fucking like actually a overwhelmingly white media that reinforces white supremacist dominant narratives. He's talking about how like people got so mad about Kyrie Irving, which is understandable why people got mad about Kyrie Irving. And then that same energy was not directed towards Amazon, which refused to take down the actual the movie from its platform. And Amazon was like, nah, fuck off. And the very same people that were like, oh my God, I can't believe Kyrie Irving, like, holy shit, he should never play play basketball again, did not fucking turn around and say or have that same energy for Amazon.
That's one of the questions I asked Jonathan Greenblatt. I said, it feels like when we do something, there's consequences for it. So I asked him, how do you punish that level of white privilege? How do you punish it, Donald
They're
Trump?
not going to punish it because at the end of the day, white supremacy requires commitment and loyalty from all groups of white people. They may have.
They want to protect Kanye so bad. I mean, bro, he's not wrong. This is the thing. Dr. Umar, much like Alex Jones, can grab on to obvious contradictions and inherent hypocrisy built into the system. Dr. Umar is not wrong when he talks about white supremacy. That's why he is a very complicated, oftentimes memed individual. He is definitely very wrong on a lot of other shit, though. And usually he uses the parts that he's not wrong on to then sell the parts that he is wrong on. And that is the exact same thing that like Alex Jones does, as the exact same thing that Andrew Tate has done. This is how it works. You grab on to things that are demonstrably true and you point them out and you say, look at this. This is fucking bullshit. Like, do you not see this? Come on. And then he will add on the ridiculous things like black men should not marry outside of their race. But he baits you in with the other stuff. Not you, of course. He's a funny and sometimes a uniquely charismatic individual. That's why there's a lot of memes around it. Well, when I say not you, of course, I mean because you're white. Let's be real. White people either don't know about Dr. Umar, or when they hear Dr. Umar, they're already conditioned into like thinking, oh, this guy is like, I'm not going to listen to anything he's saying. A lot of white people immediately are conditioned into going, oh, that's a black guy, and he's yelling loudly because of their social conditioning and previous understandings of racism. They go, okay, not listening to this dude. I'm moving on. This is black people business, 100%. That's why people always say don't get into black people business. Also, he does not have the institutional power that Alex Jones has. Dr. Umar is not interviewing Barack Obama before Barack Obama becomes president on his like insanely popular radio show. You want to know why? Because he's black. And black people do not have institutional power, and black people that advocate for black separatism even, okay, or black nationalism, or just uplifting black people are never going to reach the same level of prominence that white people who either promote overt or covert white supremacy. That's how this works. This does not mean that he doesn't say insane shit all the time. He does, of course. But there is definitely a genuine difference between the amount of impact that someone like Dr. Umar could have. Unless you're Candace Owens, I mean, again, that's a great example. Candace Owens works for white supremacy. Candace Owens' rhetoric is more damaging than Dr. Umar's rhetoric. Why? Because white supremacy is already the system that is in place. So when you're advocating for the system that is inherently violent, we all understand that. The systems that we exist under are inherently violent. There's structural cruelties. There's structural violence, poverty. There is systemic violence within the criminal justice system. Then direct violence, like state violence, that is normalized, disproportionately harmful to black communities and brown communities, poor communities in general. So when you reinforce that, when you say that's good and we need more of that, like Candace Owens does, or when you justify and legitimize the abhorrent instances of state violence like police brutality that most people even recognize is not normal, is above what is acceptable, okay? Because a lot of people think that it's acceptable. Let's be real. When you normalize that, or when you desperately try to make Derek Chauvin not look like a murderer, you're working for white supremacists. Your goal is to spread a white supremacist narrative. And white supremacy is already the basic default social conditioning, which is why people that lean into that basic default social conditioning are always going to have more influence, more reach, and more institutional power than people who are speaking out against it. That's why when you talk about Dr. Umar, the most damaging parts of Dr. Umar are parts that also correspond to pre-existing forms of oppression. Internally, when Dr. Umar talks about white supremacy, he is speaking out against the system. When Dr. Umar talks about what women should be doing in society, he is speaking for the system, a patriarchal system.
You said the only thing I'd push back on is, man, I do not like seeing people prop up Kanye West, bro. Because Kanye West is the most anti-black Negro out here. And I do not like when people just...
Why do you say that? Why do you say he's so anti-black?
Look at him. Look at who he chooses to be with.
Come on, dude. He is so obviously trying to grift off Kanye here. That's crazy, dude. Come on. The George Floyd stuff. The fact that he said he's a Nazi. Like, what the fuck? He's literally trying. Oh, my God. Oh, my God, dude. I can't believe Charlemagne is the most correct on this panel. It's a sad day when Charlemagne is the most correct on any panel, really. It's crazy to see that.
And even when he had those billion-dollar companies, what was under the hood of those companies, Dr. Umar? Where was his black staff?
I agree.
Where was his black leadership?
I agree.
You know,
and that's why right now, as I just said a minute ago, I believe Kanye's agenda is what's best for Kanye. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's about
Kanye's agenda has always been what's best for Kanye. Like, my agenda is the top of the hour ad break and serving it to you.
What's best for black people until he shows me something else. Mm-hmm. I really believe
DJ Kento,
did what he did.
Thank you for the 5
to
the
get
subs.
freed of them contracts because he has the brand and the platform and the status now where he could probably make his own sneakers and make his own music and probably sell as much, if not more, than he did before.
That's bullshit. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. That's not happening. Kanye West is not a billionaire or didn't become a billionaire because he just did everything on his own. You know what I mean? He became a billionaire because he worked with multinational mega corporations. That's number one. Number two, Kanye West is hyper targeting. Like, he is doing his Kanye best, okay? He's doing what's best for Kanye in his mind. But he's fucking so brain broken that he thinks like hyper targeting white supremacists and white nationalists is going to unironically give him a bigger boost. That's not the case for two reasons. One, white nationalists and white supremacists do not see you as anything but a black person. They will use you as a token. They will use you as a spokesperson, but that doesn't mean they like you or see you as a human. They're white supremacists. You know what I mean? They see you as a pawn. That's it. The moment that they can't use you, you're gone. You're done. And two, although America is built on white supremacist fundamentals, let's be fucking real, and as a consequence of social conditioning, a lot of people do have racist opinions, and this includes black people as well, right? Because, you know, black kids are still going and getting an American public education from the American public schooling system that is still obfuscating the truth, that still considers anything from a black perspective to be CRT and a bad thing, that still doesn't do an adequate job of teaching slavery or the perspective of African slaves at the time. So everyone has a little piece of that. However, regardless of all of that, there's also one additional normalized moral value, and that is that racism is bad. So even racists who are out and about racist, like white supremacists, don't want to be called racist.
No, I'm not a racist. I am the least racist person you have ever interviewed. That I can tell you.
Nazis are bad. Everybody knows this, right? So the moment that you come out and you just say like, oh yeah, well, I love Hitler or whatever the fuck, it's over. It's done. The people that would otherwise say, hey, he's one of the good ones. Hell yeah, brother. Most of those people are going to look to Kanye West and go, oh no, that's not me. I'm a different kind of racist. Well, they don't even say that they're racist at all. But once you give the game away, there's a reason why a lot of Nazis do dog whistles. You need to read Adolph Reed Jr. and his son Toure Reed on contemporary black politics. I'm certainly not trying to be rude, but your takes on black Americans in the political landscape is fairly moderate and leans to the right. Wait, what? Really? I don't know what you mean by that. Like, no. I listen. A lot of liberals are fairly right wing. I'm not a liberal. Adolph and his son Toure are black Marxists. No. I know. I'm saying there are a lot of liberals who also engage in like anti-black sentiment, but from a liberal perspective. And I don't mean like, oh, Karens that are like, oh, BLM, but then they call the cops on black people. Like, that's just straight up racist, right? What I'm instead talking about is the root style, like very specific type of criticism of black people, black men, cis-het black men in particular, that is insidious and it is, in my opinion, nefarious, but it is definitely a different kind of racism that you don't often, it's like very hard for most people who consider themselves to be anti-racist. They can't even understand it. There is definitely an attitude amongst liberals that perceive black men, straight black men, as the exact same harmful stereotypes that racist people openly say black men are like. Violent, angry, spite-driven. But they don't do it in the same way that like racist white people say, where they're not like, oh yeah, black men are uppity or anything like that. They say black men are incredibly misogynistic. Black men are they are violently homophobic. Black men are super transphobic. Now, there's of course homophobia and transphobia in every community, and of course there's homophobia and transphobia in the black community as well. But this weirdly paternalistic attitude is just another way for, like, in my opinion, some liberals to just say the same shit that keep spitting HasanAbi. You needed to say this 2 days ago. What do you mean? I mean, I've said this a million times. I've talked about this a lot. They pair words with adjectives like aggressive, threatening, paternalistic weirdness. Yeah, it's something that white liberals do as well. It's like almost like a way for white liberals to be able to say the same things that racist white people would say, like Republicans and conservatives would say, but not out loud. And I think that there are outlets and academics even that kind of reinforce that in America. There are definitely some even black academics that reinforce that attitude, and it's not necessarily like trying to arrive at why some level of conservative, social conservatism exists in the black community. And instead of looking at it like that and assessing it and addressing it, it more so just stays there to reinforce from yet another avenue that black men are violent, specifically straight black men. So that's it. I don't know what else to say about it, but that is, as a white person, as a white Turkish person who didn't grow up in a country that has a significant percentage of black people in it, you know, this is stuff that I have learned through my own experiences living in America for the past 12, 13 years. But that is and I of course still have a lot of blind spots when it comes to this thing. I try to be as open-minded as I possibly can. Where was the guy who originally said that I was referencing your adherence to the original Sim framework? What do you mean? Your tepidness towards black nationalism is a very conservative view, I think. Wait, aren't you being kind of a white lib when you downplay the reactionary nature of movements like this by being so forgiving? No, because I have said time and time again that nationalism is an emancipatory tool against colonialism, and colonialist violence is just and adequate. Pan-African nationalism is the contemporary example of such attitudes, and it is entirely different than like white nationalism. It's entirely different than the fascist nationalism. There's also additional steps that some people go towards, and I criticize it regularly whenever people are like anti-Semitic or whenever people are like homophobic, misogynistic, or just otherwise conservative. You're not going to see me agree with any of that. This is not all of Pan-Africanism. This is the reactionary side of it. Yeah, there is a reactionary side to it. Of course there is. Why do you think people get defensive when you tell them this? What do you mean? Anti-blackness is like the most American thing. Being anti-black is like being extra American. That's just the only way that I could describe it. So of course, when something is so deeply ingrained in societal attitudes, then every avenue, no matter how like welcoming or how open-minded or how diverse they are still going to have a crumb of that. It's just the truth. Modern American black nationalism is not remotely leftist and has nothing to do with Pan-African nationalism. Come on, Hasan. No, I'm not making excuses for Dr. Umar or Farrakhan or anyone else. I'm not even saying that those guys are not conservative. They are. Of course they are. But describing a complex situation and having a better understanding of why Dr. Umar is able to have such prominence without just washing it aside by being like, oh, it's because black people are dumb. You know what I mean? Is a little bit different. I'm sorry that you're not getting the same level of like anti-black rhetoric, even in a situation like this where I'm criticizing a prominent black figure. I know you can get that literally from every other white leftist, like pretty much. Don't worry. Why do you come here to get that too? You come here for a unique perspective, a different one that is still coming from an appealing white mouth, but you know, at least one that is a little bit more different than what you are used to. Holy fuck. Also, one of the fundamental reasons why I do this is so that other people who might be at the precipice of radicalization in the other way, or people who come in here, can genuinely recognize that at least I get it. At least I understand where it's coming from, making it more, easier for them to be more charitable to the rest of the takes that I'm delivering here. Because like, it's understandable, just like with trans issues, it's understandable to feel like you are under attack all the time because it is the normative position. It is incredibly normalized to be transphobic. Gender is a profoundly important part of our everyday existence. It's a profoundly important part of our identities, the way we see the world, right? Blue for boys, pink for girls. Like, even though a lot of those ideas are, of course, almost all those ideas are social conditioning, a consequence of social conditioning, and relatively new, you cannot escape the seeing it like that. So a lot of people have transphobic takes. It's the same for black issues as well. White supremacy is deeply normalized. So that is part of the reason why I think, because I am a white person and I meme around a lot, I think that that's part of the reason why, Black Twitter or random black people that come in here on its face might feel like I don't get it. It's understandable because most people don't get it. Same with trans people thinking I don't get it because I'm cis. But I do, to a certain degree, at least to the best of my abilities, get it.
LeBron didn't have infrastructures full of black people making
I'm going to
capital.
ask you again. What institution that's relevant has been built by a black athlete or celebrity this century? I need an answer.
But you just mean school banking and...
Relevant.
Okay.
LeBron James started a movement against voter disenfranchisement. Walk through the streets of Brooklyn, walk through the streets of Harlem, walk through the streets of the Bronx, walk through the streets of Queens, walk through the streets of Staten Island, and ask black people, what are the top 5 problems black people have in America? I promise you, voter suppression ain't one. Voter suppression ain't one. Come on, y'all. If we want to solve our problems, we got to get serious.
Okay, he's not wrong. Everyone's going to say, oh my God, well, voting is the one method to like actually fucking bring wealth in the black community. It's not true. It's not true. He's not wrong about that. He's right. No, dude, black people are suffering because they don't have fucking funds. They don't have good schools. They do not have good fucking social programs. They have been systematically disenfranchised and no restitution has occurred. But it's not like, I mean, black women specifically have been voting, 98% for the Democratic Party in perpetuity. What has the Democratic Party given back other than, Kamala Harris is VP now? Like, oh, sick, dude. Ketanji Brown Jackson, who was actually good. I mean, better than the rest of the Supreme Court justices, ironically.